This is one of the biggest struggles, I think, in humanity right now, is that we in our age group, I'm the same age as you almost. I got you by a year. I'm 45.
Okay. Nice.
You know, we're sitting here going, well, I want to protect my kids from all the evils of this world and for all the things that I suffered through. I don't want them to deal with it. I don't really say those words because I'm like, then I don't know what they're going to turn into. Like, I know the struggles I had turned me into this. And we also know for a fact what kids turn into if they're parented by helicopter parents who don't let them experience anything.
Right.
That's a nightmare. That is way worse. Like, I'd rather see my kids live out on the street for a year and figure crap out, right?
Yeah.
So there is that tough balance. I mean, I make sure I give them love, but I don't hand them anything. And my biggest encouragement to others and what we do is we've got communication through the roof.
Markus, you're a husband, you're a father, you're an investor, speaker, serial entrepreneur, founder of multiple 8- and 9-figure companies, man. You help high achievers find fulfillment beyond career success. Thank you so much for your time, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, Erik, I'm psyched to be here. Love this time with you, man. Thank you for this honor.
Absolutely. I'd love to kick the show off by going back a bit. Where did you grow up and what was childhood like for you?
Well, I'm a Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada boy. Always been here. Childhood is not the best time in my life. However, I want to start by saying this. I love my past because of what it did for me, how it changed me, how it created the Markus of today. Yeah. And I think this is actually one of the most important things people need to recognize is this past that you have, it's not supposed to be bondage and baggage that wrecks your whole life. There's so much you should be able to see in who you are today that says, hey, I'm grateful for that. Like, because of that, I am this. Yeah. So yeah, growing up, the divorce really screwed me up. I was 7 years old. My father is now out of my life. And unfortunately, my mom had to go back to school full-time, work full-time. So on that day, I lost both of my parents. And that screwed me up for so many years, screwed up my relationships. I used it as my excuse to screw up all my relationships. Yeah. But eventually I started to mature and I really started to focus on personal growth and fixing myself. And I don't mind using those words. I know the world today is like, well, that's suggesting something's wrong with you. Oh yeah, there was definitely something wrong with me. And I have no problem with that because I'm still on that growth. I'm still on that fixing pattern. But I love it, man. And it's taught me so much. And because I've been on that road, I can help so many others who are still earlier on in that road. I'd love to just be like, hey man, I've been on that road. Come on. I'd love to help you catch up over here.
Yeah. Oh man. I got chills on my neck when you were telling your story because I had these similarities in my life. My parents got divorced when I was 11, totally hosed me. I mean, mentally, I had to fight my mom's boyfriend when I was 13 years old because he was abusive to her physically and emotionally. And then I was in jail at 18. I was bankrupt at 21. I moved 21 times between the age of 18 and 21, battled addictions. I mean, crazy, crazy life. But I don't regret it. It just made me the man who I am today. But man, I just got these crazy goosebumps as you were telling your story. I was like, man, just crazy.
Oh, Erik, hey, I just want to say thank you for sharing that. And I want to encourage you, man. What a beautiful story you have. Like, I hope people listening right now just appreciate this so much. Look at the man that we're here to talk with. Look at who he has become. He doesn't have to hide his past. His past is a key part of who he is. And I love that you just own it. And you're like, this is who I was. That's how I got to here. And it's people who speak like that that can make the biggest impact in the world. It's these things that we think disqualify us. Like, people won't listen to me because of this. No, people are going to listen to you because of that.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I love that you're so open about your faith. When did you give your life to Christ and what happened that motivated you to kind of take that step into faith?
Oh man. First of all, thank you for bringing this up because this is my favorite subject in the world. In my early 20s, I had tried everything in my life and I tried it my way. I knew God was calling me. I had God in my life, but I think a lot of people are going to resonate with this. Yeah, I believe in God. Yeah, I know who Jesus is, but I got my own stuff going on. I got my own plans and I'll pray and talk to him a bit. And he just kept chasing me, as he always does. He's right there with me. And I finally one day was like, I got nothing to show for my life. I got 22 years on this planet, and there's nothing to show. I'm going to fully turn my life over to you, Lord. And it was in that moment, everything changed. And my life is marked by grace and mercy and blessing ever since that moment. It was less than 4 months that he introduced me to the most beautiful, amazing human being I've ever been introduced to. And that's my wife, who we've been together coming up on 20 years now. And within 4 months of marrying her, he handed me one of the biggest businesses I ever owned, which I got to exit last year, which was one of the coolest experiences. And that business, after almost 20 years, it really molded me into the man that I am. But back to my faith, I love Jesus. He's so loving. He's so merciful. He's so patient. And he can give you so much peace and fill your life with so much love if you just come to him. Spend more time with him. It's a relationship like any other relationship. He just wants to be with you. And it's one of my favorite things to talk about with people when they're like, I'm struggling with my faith, or like, what do I do next? And it's like, well, what would you do in any other relationship? Just name a relationship. Eric, I'll ask you, what are 2 or 3 things that every relationship needs if it's going to grow?
Man, 1, communication, but 2, I think we have to have faith in Jesus. If I'm not close with Jesus, I'm not able to support my wife and my kids how I need to be as the man that I need to be, right? It's so important. I think when you align with Jesus, man, things start to come into play. I mean, I worked at Starbucks. I was laid off from the music business. I was battling addictions. A girl walked in and said, hey, we've got a cool college age event down at our church. Would you want to go? I mean, I had no friends. I was depressed. She was good looking. Yep. What time do I need to be there? Right. And I went to that thing, and I felt God saying, dude, you've got to start making some changes. And I wasn't ready though to give up at that moment. But I realized that in that moment, God had been protecting me. I'm 44. I've never had a broken bone, never had a stitch. I mean, he's been protecting me through some crazy stuff I went through. And it was a month later, it was Easter 2004. And I woke up after a night of partying and just felt God saying, dude, you're done. And I quit cold turkey, drugs, drinking, cigarettes, everything in that moment, gave my life to Christ right then and there. Called that girl up, got her voicemail, and said, hey, thanks for inviting me to church. Maybe I'll see you at the store sometime. And my wife now, she was now my wife, and we've just celebrated 19 years of being married this month, man. And it's just been all about Jesus, man. If we didn't have Jesus, man, we would, because we both come from broken homes. We both come from craziness. And we said, nope, it's stopping with us,
Oh, I love that so much, brother. And I'm so proud of you for wearing that badge too. It's absolutely beautiful. And, just anybody listening who's like, I like what these guys are saying. I wish I had a little bit more of a relationship with Jesus. It's so easy. This relationship is available to anyone. Eric and I are not special in any way, except for the fact that we go, hey, you know what? I've tried it my way. God, it's your way from now on. And just spend some time with him. He just wants to spend time with you and talk to him and then listen. Spend some time quietly listening. You will hear him. You will see him everywhere. And one of my favorite encouragements to people is say this: God, listen, I don't think I have the faith. I don't think I know enough about you, but if you are there, will you show yourself? Will you reveal yourself? And I've yet to talk to anyone who said that prayer, who said those words to Jesus, who didn't come back to me the very next day and say, you're not going to believe what I saw. My favorite.
Yeah, I love that, man. Hey, this is a quick shout out from one of our awesome sponsors. Check this out. Thank you to Tracy down at Tranquil Turtle Massage in downtown Coeur d'Alene. Look, my wife and I, we see Tracy and her team every single month for couples massage, and it is the best thing. Tracy is a master massage specialist and a Hanu Ashiatu trainer. You need to reach out to Tracy and her team. Make sure that you tell them that I sent you, and you'll get $25 off your next massage. Also, while you're there, check out CDA Brows, Body, and Ink. Make sure to tell Tracy that I sent you, and you'll save $100 on your next tattoo, brows, and plasma tightening services.
One of the questions my wife and I kind of battled around was like, because I would say we're first generation Christians. We weren't raised in a Christian home. I mean, I went to church for a little bit as a kid, but we're basically first generation Christians. But how do we raise our kids to follow Christ since they didn't go through that adversity?
Brother, this is so good, because this is one of the biggest struggles I think in humanity right now, is that we in our age group, I'm the same age as you almost. I got you by a year. I'm 45.
Okay. Nice.
We're sitting here going, well, I want to protect my kids from all the evils of this world, and for all the things that I suffered through, I don't want them to deal with it. I don't really say those words because I'm like, then I don't know what they're going to turn into. Like, I know the struggles I had turned me into this. And we also know for a fact what kids turn into if they're parented by helicopter parents who don't let them experience anything.
Right.
That's a nightmare. That is way worse. Like, I'd rather see my kids live out on the street for a year and figure crap out, right?
Yeah.
So there is that tough balance. I mean, I make sure I give them love, but I don't hand them anything. And my biggest encouragement to others and what we do is we've got communication through the roof. We talk through everything with our kids. Like, hey, I want to start by saying I'm not perfect, honey, but you're about to deal with this, this, and this. I'm going to be here for you, but I'm not going to like carry you through it. You have to go through this yourself. You have to experience this. And it doesn't mean you're alone. I'm with you. Jesus is with you. You have resources. You have people in your corner that I didn't have, but you got to figure some stuff out for yourself.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
That land well with you?
Yeah. Oh man, it's absolutely. My daughter's 14. My son is 10 and almost 11. And so we've just hit that kind of teenager year with my daughter and my son is, I coach baseball. So, we're his team and we go out and we're trying to like share love and with all the players and things like that. And they're both really good kids. My wife is an amazing woman who homeschools our kids and works way harder than I do, like, love the fact that she starts every day of homeschool off for like an hour of just Bible study with our kids, man. And I think that is just building the foundation in them. And then I've been working from home since 2015. So all four of us are in the house all the time. So it's like, go downstairs to get coffee. I try not to interrupt, the homeschool stuff that's going on,
So good. It's so good, bro.
Yeah, it's fun, man. I mean, as I was reading through your website and stuff like that, you made your first $1 million in your 20s. That could be a lot for people to handle at that age. What was the biggest lesson that you learned when you made that first $1 million? And then out of curiosity, like what was the first thing you went out and bought?
I got blessed early on in my life. God just kept showing me the different lessons I needed to learn, the man I needed to become. And I kept giving it over to him. Like I've really got this idea of my hands like this, meaning whatever he puts into it, he can take back out. It's for his purpose. It's for his glory. And I think in many times in my life, I was a little more like this, like, oh yeah, God, my hand's kind of open, but not for this, and this. Those are mine.
Yeah.
I want to encourage people, like, let go of that stuff. So I still screwed up tons and I still screw up today. I spent money. I'll never forget. I think I was about 23 when I was starting to do pretty well. And of course, the first thing I wanted was a nicer car. And I went out and I got myself a Range Rover. But I, without trying to sound too proud here, I literally only kept it for 4 months. I kept that Range Rover for 4 months because I didn't like what it said about me. I didn't like how I felt, like what this Range Rover said about me. And now there's no judgment on anybody driving a Range Rover or spending money on a car. Like, that's your thing. That's okay. There's no judgment here. But for me, I was like, man, I'm too young to be driving this crazy car. And I don't like that I'm doing it to be like, oh, look at me, Mr. Success. But I love what it taught me because I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to drive a fancy car. In fact, I drove for the next 12 or 14 years after that, just really lower end cars. And now I don't want to call anything out here, but we were doing millions and millions and millions, and I was driving a Honda Pilot. And it was my amazing wife who finally, at one point, she's like, that's enough. You have to get yourself a really nice car. And I was like, well, okay, if the wifey tells you to do it, you go do it.
Totally. So important, man. This podcast, when I first started it in 2019, used to be called The Bearded Biz. I had this really long beard. And I thought, well, if I have a podcast called The Bearded Biz, I'll never have to shave the beard. And that was my mentality at the time. My wife was like, a couple of years and goes, you should probably shave that beard, And so I actually surprised her. I came home and I went and said, oh, I got a lunch appointment with a buddy, and went and had it shaved, and came back on our 17th wedding anniversary and had flowers and moved them, and my face was just baby, and she was like, oh my gosh, but she was the smart one, said, you should probably change the name. And then I was on Dropping Bombs with Brad Lee, and he was like, are you sure it's called The Bearded Biz? You sure you want that name? And I was like, wait, maybe I should change it. So here it is, the Erik Allen Show now, but I always listen to your wife.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Hey, you just reminded me of a story I haven't told in years. Can I share something real quick with you?
Absolutely.
So it was my daughter's 3rd birthday.
Okay.
This is my younger daughter, Bailey. And so my kids at this point, 3 and 5. And I had a pretty big beard, nothing crazy long, but it was thick. And it was the thickest I'd ever had. And I was ready to get rid of it. And so I decided to make a surprise. I started the party. I'm introducing, there's friends, there's family. She's got all of her friends there. And I got my beard. And then I went upstairs and I shaved and I put on a Prince Charming costume. And I came down as Prince Charming. And the photos we have are unbelievable. There are photos of Bailey looking up at me like this. And she legit, you can see it in her eyes. Her brain was like, is this my dad? Or has dad always been Prince Charming? And at one point she gives me this kiss and she's looking at me and she's like, Dad? And I was like, this is the greatest day ever. And it all happened just in an instant where I went from this to clean and one of my favorite memories. Thank you for
so
that.
Cool, man.
It reminded me.
That's awesome, man. I want to get into your book, man. It's called Play a Bigger Game, and it's available now. Folks can go and pick this up. But in there, you share 7 universal principles to experience fulfillment and win at life.
Yes.
Of those 7 principles, without giving it all away, but like, is there one that's probably the most important, and how can others implement that?
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so excited to share this book with the world. Truly, God, first of all, he told me I was going to write this book, and then he wrote it through me. And I got to tell you, there were times when when writing and I'd read what was on the screen, I'd be like, these are not my words. It was absolutely an amazing experience. So I'm really excited to give this to people. I truly believe that if you read this book and you do the challenges that I put in this book, your life will radically change.
Yeah.
It will. I put in so many challenges. I gave you everything that I've used over my years to radically change my mindset, the perspective shifts, all of that. So to answer your question though, I think choice is my favorite principle. And I don't think the people in this world don't quite understand that everything comes down to choices that are in your control. And yes, we constantly are like, well, Markus, but what about the government? What about this? What about this? And it's like, yeah, if you want to focus on those things are absolutely out of your control and there's nothing you can do. And you are one breath away from just staying in bed all day going, there's nothing I can do. Barricade the house. They're out to get me.
Yeah.
You get to make the first choice and say, you know what? I'm not even going to focus on that stuff. I'm going to focus on what's in my control, what I can do about my life. And that's all that I can do. And when you make that first choice, it's amazing how much control you do realize you have in your life. And when you recognize everything that you've gone through in life and where you're at in life can be peeled back to a choice you made. And it's beautiful to have that kind of power. It's beautiful to recognize that you have that power so that you can make the right choices going forward. And just to be clear, again, I'm a man of faith. I know you're a man of faith. And all the people of faith who are listening are going, whoa, 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 hold on. You're in control, not God. No. God is in me.
Yeah.
God is in me and we are co-creators. He has given me the power to create the life that I want. Now, will it work out exactly the way I want? Of course not. But that's not the point. The point is I'm not sitting back going, I wonder what God's going to do with me today. He has already put me into motion and said, go this way. So I just keep moving and I keep trying to be the best version of myself so that I can do more for him, for his kingdom, for his purpose, for this life to glorify him in every way.
Yeah. Oh, man. I love that you picked choice out of that. Because I am such a firm believer and we get to choose. Do we want to choose to be the victim or do we want to choose to live our life where we're impacting people and changing lives? Man, that is so important. You know, one of the things I always tell people is like, look, our past and other people's opinions of us doesn't define our future. We get to choose if we want to sit in the past or we can choose to make an impact and step into our purpose that God has given us, man. That's huge.
Oh, huge, brother. Man. I love that. And just to keep going on what you just said, if you don't like where you're at today, this is one of the most beautiful things in the world. Nothing in your past matters. You can decide right now, new chapter in my life starts today. Yeah. I'm a whole new character. And I'm not trying to say, pretend to be someone you're not. Fake it until you make it. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying stop focusing on the negative stuff that says, Erik, I'm a loser for these reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Your brain will find all the evidence, whichever way you choose. You want to be a loser and you want to say you're a loser, you're going to find so much evidence. I can find so much evidence why I'm a loser. I choose not to pay attention to that stuff. I'm going to choose to focus on, Erik, here's all the reasons I'm going to kill it today. I am going to succeed because of boom, 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 boom. You will find those reasons, and it will take some new habits, and it will take getting rid of some old habits so that you keep doing this every single day. And what you're going to recognize, you get stronger every single day. And it's just like working out in the gym. You've got these tiny little muscles, but if you work them consistently, they're going to grow. And it becomes easier. You become stronger, and you become this version of yourself that you always wanted to be. And then you recognize, I do have the power to write my own story.
Yeah. Come on. Oh, so good. So
Let's
good.
go.
Oh, man. One of the things I noticed on your website, too, is you talk about health, wealth, relationships, and purpose.
Yes.
Why are those four so important?
Oh, this is a beautiful question, too. I think these are the 4 pillars of life. If any one of these pillars is not strong, you are not strong. How many men I deal with, and I deal with a lot of men, and I say that specifically, it's the men. I deal with so many men who have one pillar that they are just killing it with, and it's often business. It's often, oh, Markus, I'm doing so great in business, but to be honest with you, I got strangers at home now, and my health is failing, and I don't think this is success, and I agree. That is not success. And we see that. We see that on TV. We see that in movies. We know it to be true that this is not success. If you work on these 4 pillars, and I'm not saying you spread yourself thin, but I'm saying you don't work on this pillar while ignoring this other one. Yeah. And the fact is, they're actually all intertwined. If you don't just focus on financial success, first you focus on your own health and your own energy and your own strength. And you take care of the people that are closest to you, your wife and your kids. You focus on that. Now you'll have the strength to go do way more in the business world. And you'll have the backing, the people that you need on your team to push you out the door and say, go conquer the world for us. Go take down the lions. Drag that home so that you can feed your family who loves you and who supports you. You see how this is all beautifully intertwined? And without the faith, if you don't have purpose, how are you supposed to go out there and do something if you don't understand and believe that there's something bigger at play than you? The weight of the world is just too heavy.
Yeah.
But I've got God with me, helping me carry this load every single day, saying this baggage is not for you to carry, Markus. If you've got 100 or 1,000 mortgages on your back, you don't have to carry that load. I've got you.
Man. Gosh, I love that, man. I know that there's been times when I had my pillars off, right? Like I know that I was focusing too much on one that I, ended up sacrificing another. And one of the big moments for me was I went to an event in California with a guy named Greg Reed, and I met a guy down there named Kelly Gardinas, and he invited me to go watch the sunrise in the morning, go read our Bible out on the beach. And I'm from Idaho, so we don't have beach here, but I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Let's go do it. So I go down to sit on this beach. And at this time in my mind, I just wanted to be a full-time entrepreneur. That was all I wanted to do. I was like, I don't want to work for people. I just want to be a full-time entrepreneur. I'm telling Kelly this, and this event that I was at, there was 50 people, 49 were millionaires. I was the one that was not. And I sat there telling Kelly, and I go, Kelly, I just want to be a full-time entrepreneur. And he goes, Erik, all these people that you've met, they're all millionaires. They're all very successful business people. But how many of them have great marriages? And it was like this stab in my heart because I realized that my priorities were all screwed up at that moment. And it was from that day that I shifted mentally, and I just started focusing on building all those pillars that you just spoke about to get to our mat today, man. Oh, it's just so good, dude.
Brother, I love that. And I'm so proud of you for doing that. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, this is what men need to have these conversations. Men need to hear other men having these conversations so that they recognize they're not just listening to the guy who's like, at all costs, I needed to make that money. If my family couldn't handle it, screw my family. If my friends couldn't handle it, screw my friends. No. That's not real success. I love the way you speak, brother.
Oh, thank you so much. I love to finish my show with a fun question. I'm a music guy, so I've asked the question, like, what kind of music do you like to listen to, or is there a favorite band for you?
Yeah, sure. I'm all EDM. EDM to me, well, actually, sorry, I should balance that. In my car, I'm all Christian. I love like Need to Breathe is one of my favorite bands, man. They are so amazing. But when I'm in the gym, it is EDM. I need that. And it just gets me going, man. How about you? What do you listen to?
So I used to be just straight metalhead, like Korn, Rob Zombie, all those guys. Like in school, that was, and then I worked for Universal Records in my early 20s, and they're like, you actually have to listen to other kinds of music. And so I got into listening to other country and hip hop and stuff like that. And very much on the EDM side now, where if I'm reading, I like to have the beats in the background, and it just helps me kind of really stay focused on that. But I still go back to my old roots occasionally, but Christian music is definitely where it's at. Took my wife and our two kids to their first Christian concert this last year. And it was awesome to see Danny Goki and Jordan Felice all in concert. And my daughter got a hat from Danny Goki off the stage. It was just a cool moment for them to, see and experience that.
Oh, I love that, brother. That's so beautiful.
Man, Markus, this has been an absolute world-changing episode, man. Thank you so much for taking time and just sharing so much great insight with people, man. Thank you. You're an absolute world changer, man.
Erik, I am so blessed by having this time with you. Thank you for this opportunity. Everybody who's listening, two things I'd like to say to finish here. One, let's go give Erik a 5-star rating. It makes a big difference to his podcast. The least we can do is go give him a 5-star rating. He works so hard for us. He puts in his time, his effort, his love for this. So let's go do that for him. And the second thing is, I really hope today you felt some love out of me and you don't feel judgment. There is no judgment coming from me. All I want to see is others succeed, others feel that love and that purpose. And would you please reach out to me? If my energy touched you, if my words touched you, will you please reach out to me? I would love to be your cheerleader. I would love to help you on this path. If there's anything I can do to help you succeed, just know that I would love and be so honored to be able to do that.
Hey, if you've ever thought about starting a podcast but unsure where to go, you need to go check out erikallenmedia.com. Click on the resources tab there. I will walk you through how to start, launch, and run a podcast. I've recorded over 500 interviews since 2017, and I want to help you launch your podcast. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button so you catch every show when I drop them. Thanks again. Keep changing the world.